Of the translation of the coronavirus uh, and conference of the Mexican president today. What was very notable, and I separated it in this way, is because the authority, the health authority for Mexico, um, consulted with the World Health Organization and Centers for Disease Control, and they have a very specific plan and also very good news about um, the recovery period. It seems to behave like a simple flu. Uh, People recover from it, become immune, just like when you get a flu shot to become immune. So the rate of death, according to the first part of this section, was 0.001% of each country, which is a very minuscule amount compared to many other diseases that we have, and also very similar to all other flus, and really not as concerning as it would have appeared. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start this right now. Okay. Well, let me just go ahead and share this. One moment. I need to do one thing to make sure I have the right setting. Okay. And here we go. This is the one I want because I'm going to be putting it on Facebook so that people can watch it live there also. So give me just a moment. I'm going to put it on there. Let's see if that works. And share. And so we're going to go ahead and, sorry guys, it just takes a moment. Not letting me change this link. Okay, so I don't know what's happening, but share now public. Okay. All right. Oh, I'm in the wrong place. Okay. Sorry, guys. Just a moment. I am trying to get this to be live so that people can watch it simultaneously on there in Facebook. Because I think this information is very important and it will help people to stop buying so many boxes of toilet paper and so many other things that they're closing out the markets. It's not the right thing to do. They're making it a case where it appears to be this crazy epidemic, and it's not. But anyway, so here we go. So I'm going to start translating.
Bueno, vamos a pedirle a Jesús Ramírez que nos exponga sobre la nueva campaña o la nueva etapa de esta campaña antidrogas.
So he says now we're going to start on this new campaign, anti-drug campaign. And so I just want to say hello to the people that are in the chat, which is Beatriz right now. Okay. Let's see.
Muy buenos días, con su permiso, señor presidente. Efectivamente, como se había anunciado la semana pasada.
Very good day, and hello, Mr. President. Effectively, as it was presented last week,
pues estamos ya en una nueva etapa de la campaña de la Estrategia Nacional de Prevención de Adicciones.
We are now in a new phase of the strategy for preventative or the area of prevention.
Una campaña que dirigida a los jóvenes, a los maestros, padres de familia, pero hablar.
A campaign that is directed at the youth and families,
hablando directamente de las consecuencias físicas, emocionales,
teaching them specifically of the results, emotional and social,
sociales, económicas que genera el consumo de
and economic, which the consumption of drugs generates,
sustancias psicoactivas,
and also
incluyendo
other substances, which include
alcohol y tabaco, que normalmente no se consideran drogas, pero que
alcohol and tobacco, which are normally not considered drugs,
son de las más dañinas
but are among the most damaging
para la salud de
and dangerous for your health.
los mexicanos, son las más consumidas y también afectan el sistema de salud
And they are the most consumed, and they affect the public health and health system.
pública. En ese sentido, el eslogan, la frase,
And in that sense, the slogan, the phrase,
lo que enmarca esta nueva etapa
what marks this new phase,
es esta idea de que en el mundo de las drogas
it's this idea that in the world of drugs,
no hay final feliz.
there is no happy ending.
Y decidimos hablar del mundo de las drogas para incluir tanto la oferta como la demanda.
And we decided to talk about drugs to include not only the use of it, but the demand.
Sí partimos desde los estándares internacionales, de
Yes, we parted from the national standards or international standards.
la idea de no estigmatizar el consumo a los
The idea of not stigmatizing the consumption
consumidores,
by consumers,
pero sí de hablar con la verdad,
but yes, speaking with the truth,
de la realidad
the reality,
que significa para una persona, sobre todo para un adolescente, para un joven,
what it means specifically and particularly for a youth, for a young person,
consumir sustancias, sobre todo químicas,
to consume substances, particularly those that are chemical,
que sí afectan su salud física,
that do affect your physical health,
y sobre todo a nivel cerebral, a nivel de las células
that particularly affect you on a brain cellular level.
del cerebro, y todo eso es lo que se va a hablar en esta campaña.
And the way it affects your cerebrum, and all these things are what we are going to be discussing during this campaign.
Lo que sigue, por favor.
What is
Queremos
the
informarle
next
a los
slide?
jóvenes, queremos informarle a las familias
We want to inform the youth, we want to inform their families
de que el consumo de estas sustancias
that the consumption of these substances
sí afecta el desempeño de las personas, sí tiene a la
it does affect the um, uh, possibilities for this person.
al intelecto de las personas.
It does affect their intellect.
Normalmente se piensa que se pueden consumir sustancias psicoactivas sin ninguna consecuencia.
They think that they can consume these illicit drugs without any consequences.
De hecho, se ha normalizado
In fact, they've made it like a normal thing.
el consumo de estas sustancias. Hay fiestas
The consumption of these substances, there are even parties
clandestinas a lo largo del país,
that are clandestine or hidden along this whole country,
llamados raves, donde se consumen metanfetaminas,
where they consume methamphetamines,
donde no existe control
where they have no control
de qué se consume.
of what is being consumed.
Aquí vamos a mostrar
And here we are going to demonstrate
con qué se hacen las metanfetaminas.
what methamphetamine is made with.
Esas aparentes sustancias inocuas
These apparently innocuous innocuous substances
que hacen vivir momentos o paraísos artificiales, momentos
that give you moments artificially,
daños, sí tienen consecuencias dadas las sustancias con las cuales se elaboran,
and they do have um, consequences because of the substances they are made with,
de manera clandestinas y de las cuales no hay control.
that are made with illegal methods of which there is no control.
Por eso es importante esta nueva etapa.
And for that reason, this phase is very important.
Y bueno, pues partimos del hecho, si quieren la otra hoja, por favor.
And so we set aside, if you would look at the other part,
De la otra lámina,
the
donde
next slide,
sí partimos de una reflexión. La guerra contra las drogas, el uso
where we do go with the war on drugs.
punitivo de la violencia para acabar con este flagelo no tuvo
The punitive violence, which has not been able to end this phase,
resultados favorables, por el contrario.
and it did not have favorable results. On the contrary,
Aumentó el consumo de manera alarmante, sobre todo entre niños.
the consumption increased and at an alarming rate.
Se disminuyó la edad de consumo a 10 años o menos.
And so then what happened is that the young people, 10 years and younger, started using drugs.
Y entre mujeres, el consumo de mujeres a partir del 2007 que se declaró.
And also among women, as of the year 2007, the women started using it more.
La guerra contra las drogas se triplicó.
It tripled.
En ese sentido, y gracias,
And in that sense, thank
en ese
you,
sentido queremos partir de esa reflexión de que es importante.
we want to show a reflection because it's important.
Existe ya en algunas regiones del país una verdadera pandemia.
And in certain parts of the country, there is an actual pandemic,
Así dicho por las autoridades de salud,
as is said by the authorities of health,
por las autoridades, presidentes municipales y gobernadores,
by the municipal and governors of the areas,
donde el uso de sustancias químicas, particularmente el cristal,
where the use of substances, particularly crystal,
ya se convirtió en un problema social
has now been converted into a social problem,
y económico muy fuerte.
which is economic, very strong.
En el norte del país, en las zonas del Bajío,
In the north of the country, in the zones of the low or valley areas,
Michoacán sobre todo,
Michoacán especially,
donde hay narcolaboratorios y donde ya la población está consumiendo. Ya no solo se producen sus
where there is narcotic laboratories and where now the population has begun consuming. I'm going to take a moment here to say hello to my friends on my chat. We have Elias Flores and Beatriz, who said that very well to say the consequences of consuming these substances are so terrible. And then Elias says, gracias, Mara, which is thank you, Mara, for your labor in translating the matters in the morning. Thank you, 1,000 thank yous. And then Nightbot doesn't like all capitals. So it always gives you trouble, and I'm sorry I have not been able to disable the Nightbot, the capitals, and emoticons. I like them. It doesn't bother me, but unfortunately I have not been able to disable that. And Elias and Beatriz are there. Okay, so we'll go on.
sustancias, drogas para el mercado extranjero, particularmente al norte del país.
So they have made these drugs which have particularly spread to the northern parts, or have come from the northern parts of the country.
Sino ya somos un país consumidor, altamente consumidor. Entonces,
And now we are a country that is consuming large amounts.
a partir de los testimonios de jóvenes, de
So after getting testimonies from youth,
funcionarios públicos,
by public officials,
de mujeres, de madres de familia,
of mothers, of family members
que nos cuentan directamente
that tell us directly
qué es, cómo viven este infierno de las drogas del que hablaba el presidente de la República.
how they live in this inferno or a hell that the President of the Republic mentioned earlier.
Es que vamos a crear conciencia al
Oh, yeah, revolucionando mentes, Sergio,
mismo tiempo vamos a desplegar información científica
in which we are going to be spreading scientific information.
y también con lenguaje llano, porque a veces el hablar en físico, como se ha dicho en esta tribuna, la gente no entiende.
And so speaking with a colloquial language, because sometimes the things we say, the people may not understand.
Las consecuencias por hablar de manera muy técnica.
And they might not understand the consequences because we speak in too technical a manner.
Pues nosotros queremos hablar de manera como habla la gente.
And we want to speak the way people speak.
Para que se entienda.
So that it can be understood.
La gravedad de este consumo.
The gravity of this consumption.
La gravedad de las consecuencias a las familias y a las comunidades.
And the graveness of consequences to the families and to communities.
Así que pasamos, les vamos a mostrar algunos testimonios.
So we're going to pass here and we're going to demonstrate a few testimonies.
Que van a estar ya en los medios comerciales, en los medios electrónicos,
which are now going to be displayed in the public media and in radios.
Televisión.
And television.
Y también en la prensa.
And also with the press.
Adelante, por favor.
So we're going to start it now.
Un miedo muy profundo a la soledad.
He said, I have a very strong fear of loneliness. And crystal is the drug that I have loved the most and that I have hated the most. I am fighting to not consume it again, crystal. It has happened to me, the consumption of these substances. And I lost the notion of the things that were happening around me. And I had a setback with the substances that was very strong and bad. And I almost died. And this says, in the world of drugs, there is no happy ending.
Estrategia Nacional para la Prevención de las Adicciones.
Buenos días, compañeros. Mi nombre es Yair y soy un alcohólico.
And he said, hello, my name is Yair, and I am an alcoholic drug addict. And it is good to do things well. But anyway, I don't have the attention of my father, or a father. No. I am 17 years old. And I am here because of use and consumption of drugs. My whole body ached. And they have to inject me with B complex. And I have to sleep on a mat in case I get convulsions in the night. And now I am a person that is rotten. Don't do anything to try to help me. And in the world of drugs, there is no happy ending.
Estrategia Nacional para la Prevención de las Adicciones.
Consumía chochos, perico y monas.
She said, I used to consume chocho, perico, and mona. 12-year-olds, I began to use cochos with the tachas.
A mis 12 años empecé con los chochos, con las tachas. La piedra solamente me dañó.
And the rock only damaged me. I guess rock, crystal rock or meth rock.
Por el consumo
And she said, due to the consumption, I damaged my bones,
me descalcifiqué todos los huesos.
or I lost all the calcium in all my bones.
La estoy matando yo mismo, porque
I am killing myself
yo era que dejaba el PVC, yo
because I used to go to the PBC and I used to buy it.
compraba, un chavo me quiso matar.
And then a guy tried to kill me.
Cuando él me tiró un balazo,
And when he shot a gunshot at me,
yo le tiré uno también.
and I shot him too.
Así fue que yo maté al chavo.
And that is how I killed the young man.
Estrategia Nacional para la Prevención de las Adicciones.
And so each one of these that ends with this is a new one. So it says, in the world of drugs, there is no happy ending.
Es un gusto de uno, ¿no? Porque uno no te dice, toma mota y te la vas a meter porque te la vas a meter.
And so then they tell you, take some mota, which is pot, and then they say, you're going to stick this in because you're going to stick this in.
Uno te la mete por gusto. Para
And you don't take it because you want to.
yo no volver a ver esos golpes que
And so I didn't want to be returning to those injuries that were given to me by my father and my mother, physical abuse.
mi papá se le pegó a mi mamá. Yo
And my father used to hit my mother.
preferí salirme de mi casa.
And I decided to leave my home.
Muchos han sido violados por sus padres cuando
And many were violated by their fathers
son niños
when they were children.
y psicológicamente no han podido superar eso.
And they have not been able to psychologically get above that or beyond that. And she said, I want to die already. And she says, I constantly feel like I want to die.
Estrategia Nacional para la Prevención de las Adicciones.
And this says, in the world of drugs, there is no final happy ending. And then at the end, in that voice, you hear that it's this strategy of the government, the national government, to prevent addictions. And I say, the truth is that the police made me say the truth. And they say and sometimes they do it by beating you. And sometimes they electrocute you. And I thought I was just a social drinker. And I thought I could stop drinking whenever I wanted to. But it was not like that. That's not the way it was. I lost my family. I lost my job. And I reached a level of suffering that was very harsh. And then I had these visual hallucinations. And I felt like I was eaten by spiders and scorpions.
Estrategia Nacional para la Prevención de las Adicciones.
Primera vez que probé sustancia fue a los 12 años.
The first time I tried the substances, I was 12 years old.
Probé la cocaína, ¿verdad?
I tried cocaine.
Lo más peor que me ha pasado, pues he perdido el respeto, la dignidad y he perdido horas.
So the worst thing that has happened to me is that I have lost respect, dignity.
Sí que he perdido ahora sí a mi familia.
And I also lost my family.
Empecé por cigarro.
And I started with cigarettes,
Alcohol.
alcohol.
Después cocaína.
Then I went to cocaine.
Después, crack.
Then I went to crack.
El cuerpo físico yo estaba bien chupado y estaba bien flaco.
And in my physical body, I looked very sucked in, skinny.
Estaba, la verdad, desfigurado.
And I was actually disfigured.
Mi mamá ya falleció hace un año.
And my mother died about a year ago.
En su velorio me estaba yo drogando en mi cuarto y ella estaba en su caja.
And while my mother was they were having the wake, I was in my room getting high while my mother was in the casket.
El empoderamiento del alma y del corazón.
The empowerment of the soul and the heart.
De la persona que cree que las domina.
Of the person that believes they can dominate it.
Eso es lo peor que tienen las drogas.
That is the worst thing that drugs have.
Llevo ya 4 intentos de suicidio.
I have attempted suicide 4 times.
Y no quiero llegar a otro intento de suicidio más.
And I don't want to try it once again.
En el mundo de las drogas no hay final feliz.
In the world of drugs, there is no happy ending.
Bueno, yo lo tenía todo: familia, trabajo, amigos. Hacía doble turno en la chamba y me sentía cansado. Pero un día
I used to have it all. I used to come home from work and I felt tired. And they offered drugs to me and they told me nothing would happen.
Pasaba nada, que la podía controlar.
That I would be able to control it.
Y no fue así.
And it was not that way.
Mi perdición.
It caused me to become lost.
Me volví su esclavo.
I became its slave.
Perdí la batalla y lo perdí todo.
I lost the battle. I lost it all.
Hasta el perro se fue.
Even the dog left me.
No pierdas tu libertad ni tu salud.
Do not lose your liberty nor your health.
En el mundo de las drogas no hay final feliz.
Estrategia Nacional para la Prevención de las Adicciones.
Wow, that is really impressive. I'm very impressed with the way they're handling this fight against drugs. So what they're going to do is they're going to be putting these signs everywhere. Muy impresionante estos videos que hicieron para los jóvenes. Un momentito, tengo que hacer algo. Sorry guys, I need a pillow for my back. Getting a little tired. Okay. Ooh, it's a high chair. Okay, I'm back. Okay, and by the way, I recommend drinking water with with lemon and making a hot tea. Which reminds me, I left the tea boiling. Okay, I'm back. All right. And start. Okay, Elías, sí, Mara, muy impresionante. Todos somos vulnerables y esto. So I'm going to translate what Elias Flores made in his comments. He says, yes, it's very impressive. All of us are vulnerable, and we can not, and if we don't combat it in time, it can become worse. And perhaps for them, there's no way out, no way to escape. And they are united in the world of terror internally. That's true. That's true. Okay, so I'm going to change the title of this, the fight or war against drugs. The war against drugs. I'm going to change the title. No happy ending. No happy ending. Okay, because that's what it's. I wanna make this so that it'll be good when it's done. Okay. Okay, so we start again.
Y también otro énfasis
Saludos.
que vamos a hacer, que es esta sección, que es mostrar de qué están hechas las drogas.
And in this section, we're going to show or demonstrate what the drugs are made of. And hello, Renacimiento, Leo, ¿cómo estás? Mucho gusto. Gracias por saludar y por visitar mi canal.
Para que la gente también sepa que hay sustancias químicas que se usan en la vida cotidiana para lavar el baño, para limpiar la cocina.
So that the people will know that there are casual chemical substances which people use in the home to clean bathrooms and kitchens.
Para matar las ratas.
And to kill rats.
Para acabar con las plagas.
And to end with plagues.
Y que son sustancias que se utilizan justo para elaborar estas sustancias.
And these are the same substances which they use in order to elaborate these substances.
Por ejemplo, la batería de los autos.
For example, the batteries in cars.
Es el ácido que se utiliza para que generen electricidad y acumulen electricidad.
And that is the acid that they use in order to generate electricity.
Pues se utiliza para hacer cristal.
And they utilize it to make crystal.
Y esto hace un daño enorme al sistema nervioso, al cerebro.
And that does enormous damage to the nervous system, to the cerebrum.
Y por supuesto a todo el sistema vital, ¿no?
And of course, any other vital system.
Adelante, por favor.
¿Sabes de qué están hechas las drogas sintéticas? Veneno para ratas.
Do you know what synthetic drugs are made from? They're made by rat poison.
Cáustica para destapar el caño.
Caustic substances which are used to unplug toilets. And embalming fluid.
Líquido para embalsamar cadáveres.
Liquids that embalm cadavers.
Solvente de pintura.
Paint solvents.
Industrial.
Industrial cleaning products. Chloroform.
Para blanquear la ropa. Queso para.
Clorox to clean and whiten clothes.
Aplanar paredes.
And then the caulking that they use to plug holes in the wall.
Para matar cucarachas.
Borax to kill roaches.
Todos estos químicos son usados en asquerosos laboratorios.
And these disgusting products are used in illicit laboratories or clandestine laboratories.
Clandestinos para la fabricación de drogas.
In order to create or build, fabricate the drugs, the synthetic drugs.
Sintéticas. No pongas esto en tu cuerpo.
Do not put this in your body.
En el mundo de las drogas no hay
The world of the drugs
Estrategia Nacional
has no happy ending.
para la Prevención de las Adicciones.
And this is for the prevention of addictions. Gracias, Renacimiento 4T, please subscribe to Renacimiento 4T. They have really good information in Spanish if you are a Spanish-speaking person.
En el mundo de las drogas no hay final feliz.
Estrategia Nacional para la Prevención de las Adicciones.
Este último material, y lo van a ver ahora con los gráficos que vamos a presentar,
He says this last part, which we are going to be showing you with the graphs that we're going to be presenting,
habla de este mundo de las drogas donde también la violencia está alimentada por la economía criminal.
which speaks of this world where economy is also used in this world,
Donde las sustancias que consumen
where the substances that are consumed,
muchos jóvenes están manchadas de sangre.
many hands of these youth are stained with blood.
Y lo que queremos es hacer conciencia de ello,
And what we want to do is build your conscience or make you conscious of it.
de cómo esta retroalimentación de esta violencia,
How this violence is fed.
pues también hay responsabilidad social, hay
Then there is the social responsibility also
desde los consumidores,
of the consumers,
sin estigmatizar su consumo, pero sí
without stigmatizing their consumption,
hacer conciencia de que el dinero que mueven
but to make them conscious that the money that they are moving
las sustancias
with these substances,
psicoactivas, las drogas,
these psychoactive drugs,
pues también son las que alimentan
these are also what nurture
el ciclo de violencia. Por eso
the cycle of violence.
tipo de materiales.
And that's why we are showing you these type of materials.
Y vamos a mostrar los gráficos para hablar de los mensajes que en espectaculares, en la prensa.
So we're going to be showing you the graphics which we are going to be putting out in the press and in the different media.
Y a través de las redes se van a dar a conocer.
And via the web, we're going to let you know.
Como dice uno de los gráficos, las drogas están manchadas de sangre, no te manches. Es uno de los mensajes.
So he said, as the graphics or the pictures show you that the drugs are stained with blood, please don't allow yourself to be trapped by these.
Hacia los jóvenes.
Like this is used against the youth.
Pero también esta campaña tiene que pues tener su lado de esperanza.
But also this campaign needs to hold its side of possibilities and hope.
De regeneración social.
Of regenerating socially.
de la capacidad de superar los obstáculos.
For the capacity of bettering these obstacles.
O las situaciones más negras que se
And even the blackest moments and situations
presentan en la vida.
that are presented in life.
Y justo también parte de la estrategia de nacional de prevención de adicciones
And also in the National Prevention of Addictions
es generar habilidades para la vida.
is to generate abilities for life. I'm going to stop here for a minute and read what the viewers are saying. Elias said, all of this can be utilized to elaborate drugs. Wow, that's a question mark. Then that, no wonder they are killing themselves. Is it possible for consumers not to have a conscience and continue to consume knowing that how these are made? And Renacimiento 4T is very, that pretty soon we'll be able to have an visit again, okay, or interaction. Yeah, later we can do a video. Al rato hacemos un video con Renacimiento 4T. Búsquenme en AMLO-Tubers Unido. Voy a poner el Zoom para que podamos unirnos. Okay, Elias says, now our president gives its importance to that of combating, and this is because of the love of his people and the preference for the youth that had been abandoned by the governments that existed before. This is very true. Gracias, Elias.
Tener la capacidad de enfrentar la adversidad.
And to have the capacity to confront adversity.
Herramientas emocionales para que los
emotional tools.
Niños, los adolescentes,
so that the children, adolescents,
jóvenes,
and youth,
familias en su conjunto,
and families joined together,
podamos enfrentar cuando tenemos problemas,
could confront when we have problems,
o graves problemas,
or grave problems.
Y a veces no se cuentan con las herramientas suficientes para enfrentar la adversidad y se buscan.
And sometimes you can't count with enough tools to confront adversity.
Buscan salidas aparentemente fáciles.
And they look for ways out that seem apparently to be easy.
Como el consumo de sustancias.
Like the consumption of substances.
O el abuso del alcohol o el abuso de drogas.
Or the abuse of alcohol, or the abuse of drugs.
Para buscar salidas aparentemente de bienestar.
Because they look for ways out that are good for them, for their well-being.
Pero que en el fondo detrás de ellas hay consecuencias.
But at the basis of these, there are consequences.
Que justo anulan esa felicidad.
That actually annihilate that happiness.
Aparente, efímera.
And apparent, ephemeral.
De que se ha hablado.
That we spoke of.
Y bueno, pues también parte de esta ideas.
And also part of these ideas.
Ofrecer ejemplos.
To offer examples.
De personas que aun cuando han consumido sustancias.
That even though these people had consumed substances.
O drogas.
Or drugs,
han podido ser figuras públicas importantes.
They have been able to become important public figures.
Importantes en el deporte, en el arte, en el atletismo, que nos.
In sports, in athletics, they've become important people when they beat those drugs.
Con su ejemplo nos muestran de que sí hay posibilidad de salir.
And with their example, they show us that there is a possibility to get out of it and get ahead.
Que teniendo voluntad y sobre todo ayuda profesional.
That if you have the will and especially help, professional help.
Y eso es parte de la estrategia de prevención de adicciones, es que el sistema público pueda ofrecer estos servicios a los jóvenes, a quienes necesitan ayuda. Eso es algo que hemos estado reforzando.
And that is part of what we are trying to do, to reinforce that public and that we will help fight these.
Junto con la Secretaría de Salud, el INS,
along with the Secretary of Health and IMSS
el ISSSTE
and ISSSTE,
todos los centros de integración juvenil, que es quizá una
all of the centers that are integrated for the youth,
de las instancias que ha podido desarrollar una capacidad de atención
and all of the agencies that have been able to develop attention.
Muy importante en nuestro país. Y bueno, esto es
which is very important in our country. And yes, this is part
de estos mensajes que
part of these messages.
Figuras públicas, por ejemplo,
Public figures, for example, Adrián
González, que es un pelotero
Adrián González, which is a football player
de las grandes ligas en Estados Unidos,
of one of the big leagues in the United States.
O Julio Urias, que también es otro pelotero destacado.
Or Julio Elias, which also is a well-known football player.
Con otros beisbolistas.
Or, I'm sorry, with other baseball players.
Participan en esta campaña mandando un mensaje.
That participate with this campaign, sending a message.
De que el béisbol te protege. Pero no,
that baseball protects you.
No solo ellos.
But not only them.
Por ejemplo, el Canelo Álvarez.
Also, Canelo Álvarez.
Nos ofrece en un mensaje. Pues
he offers us in a message.
Esta idea de que el campeón también tiene que prepararse y actuar.
That the champion also has to prepare himself.
Frente a las adicciones. Hay muchos ejemplos.
And has to act against addictions. And there are many examples.
De éxito de deportistas que desvían el camino.
Of triumph of sports people that along the way.
Por el uso y abuso de sustancias.
Due to the use and abuse of substances.
Alcohol, etcétera, de drogas, ¿no? Entonces.
Of drugs, etc.
Él justo desde ese espacio, desde ese lugar.
And from that place, from that space, he justly
les habla a los jóvenes,
he speaks to the youth,
a los niños,
for the youth, for the children,
de estar listos y de prepararse y
to be ready and to prepare yourselves,
de que el deporte es una opción,
that sports is an option
frente a las adicciones,
against drugs.
Las adicciones pueden ser el otro rival a vencer.
And he says addictions can be another rival, because a true athlete will beat any adversity.
Pero un verdadero atleta puede superar cualquier adversidad.
So a true athlete can better any adversity or be superior to any adversity.
Y más aún apoyado de su familia.
And more so if he is supported by his family.
El deporte es el mejor camino para superarse en la vida.
Sports is the best route to better yourself in life.
Un verdadero campeón pone fuera de combate a las adicciones.
And a true champion takes out the equation of actions with drugs.
Por eso no hay que bajar la guardia.
That is why you cannot let down your guard.
Con razón y corazón por toda la nación.
With reason and with your heart and for the whole nation.
Juntos por la paz.
We need to be joined together for peace.
Tu amigo Saúl El Canelo Álvarez.
Your friend Saúl El Canelo Álvarez. And it says together for peace. Listen first.
El béisbol siempre me protegió de
He says, I was always protected
todo mal. Tiene la familia
of every type of bad.
unida. Te hace olvidar un poquito lo que está pasando fuera del campo. Estás
And you start to forget a little bit about what is happening outside.
dedicado en tu deporte y pones todo tu tiempo para ver preferencias.
And you put all your time into the sports and these preferences.
En este camino hay que dar el ejemplo para los niños. Yo protegí
And when you choose this road, you're an example for the children.
a mi familia
And I protected my family.
por el béisbol. Me tiene aquí y salgo de
Baseball has me here, and I've come out of
adicción contra las
those addictions.
adicciones, juntos por la paz.
And we're together against addictions and together for peace.
El béisbol te protege, juntos
Baseball will protect you.
por la paz.
Together for peace.
El béisbol es una gran puerta para los jóvenes.
Baseball is a good door for the youth.
Algo que me gustó desde niño. Es un deporte muy fácil.
It is something I loved since childhood. Sports.
Familiares, un deporte de amigos.
It's a family thing. It's a sport for friends.
Tenía muchas cosas malas en mi casa. Nuestro
I had a lot of bad things going on in my home.
papá decidió dejar todo eso para seguirme viendo triunfar en el béisbol.
And my father decided to leave all those things in order to see me triumph in baseball.
Tenerme activo haciendo un deporte te protege totalmente y no.
When I am active in sports, it protects me.
Más el béisbol, cualquier deporte en nuestro país es algo
Not just baseball, but any sport in our country.
bueno.
Contra las adicciones.
Juntos por la paz.
Against addictions, together for peace.
El béisbol te protege. Juntos
Baseball will protect you. Together
Por la paz.
for peace.
Pues así es estos materiales de
So this is how these materials go.
esta nueva etapa y como dice el eslogan final,
And this is the new phase, as we say at the very end.
pues esto de combate a las adicciones,
To combat addictions,
para la prevención de las adicciones,
for the prevention of addictions,
se requiere de la iniciativa o la participación de la sociedad
and it requires the participation of society,
y en conjunto con el gobierno,
and together with the government
con las instancias del Estado mexicano,
and with the agencies of the government, of the Mexican government,
para acabar con ese flagelo.
to end with this flagellum.
Por eso hacemos eco de lo que dicen hoy los deportistas,
And that's why we echo what the sportsmen said today.
en esta tarea
In this job, or this duty,
para combatir las adicciones y esta pandemia
to combat addictions and this pandemic
que alimenta la violencia que hoy azota nuestro
that encourages violence,
país,
that is so destructive in our country.
juntos por la paz.
Together for peace.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much.
Bueno, pues estos son los dos temas de hoy.
And these are the two matters for today. So apparently, I'm going to separate this as the part for drugs. Voy a dividir esto en otra sección porque está muy largo el video. Es de más de 2 horas y media. Y voy a hacer esta sección del video que se trata de pelear contra las drogas y que no va a tener un final bonito. ¿Ok? Entonces lo voy a parar aquí, pero lo voy para que se divida en otro video y luego vamos a empezar la sección del resto del video. Así es que si están aquí en mi canal, no se vayan, ahorita vamos a empezar de nuevo. Ok, muchas gracias amigos. Thank you for being here. Thank you for joining my channel. And we'll be right back with the remainder of the translation of this video. I thought this part should be set aside, just like the healthcare part. I set that aside so that each one will have its own topic of importance. And I think this one, dealing with drugs, is a very good one to have in order to set it aside. Okay, ahorita empezamos de nuevo. Gracias. Let's see here. Oh boy. Okay. So I'm I'm going to close this one. Thank you very much. Ahorita empezamos de nuevo.